What's going on? What are we doing? What's going on? Just hanging out. Just hanging out. Lick Lola's ear. Hi guys, it's Jessica here for another video on making a ball jointed doll drawing, marker art in my Moleskine sketchbook, but I wanted to start the video showing the inspiration dolls. The inspiration is actually my character Neela, who was a character long before her doll, but here is Neela in one of her doll forms. I have an MSD version of Neela too, but this is still probably the most near and dear version of her. This face sculpt is by, well, the entire doll is by Mishi's Dolls, and the face sculpt was the most perfect representation of Neela ever. So I wanted to show her. This is going to be kind of a fantasy hybrid that I really can't actually make in reality, but I'm going to make in art. So here is, this is a hybrid of a real fee Centaur body, and then the top half of a lily cat chibi moon. So you'll see as we get going here. But I wanted to kind of show my entire process, and I hope this video I can condense down into something I can upload. But it starts here on my iPad and will end here in my Moleskine sketchbook. So I prefer to do my sketching and drawing in my iPad Pro digitally. It's just a lot more forgiving and makes the sketching process go a whole lot quicker. So here I am in Procreate, and this was the drawing that I made of Neela, and let's just oops, so that you can see it. Let's change the background. There. So I've got the sketch to the point where I want to transfer it now to my sketchbook, to my Moleskine sketchbook, and actually color it in traditional with my markers. But this is really how I prefer. I'm really liking this. I can doodle and sketch and take my time with it digitally. So we're just going to go share, PNG, exporting. Let's print. Okay, so I'll go ahead and print that. Okay, I'll be right back with that. Okay, so there is the image printed out onto paper, and I know some people like to print out onto the paper they're going to actually color on and color that, and that might be something I experiment at some point, but I really want to fill my sketchbook. So I want to transfer this image into my Moleskine, and so and I like to do a spread, and I might sometimes I have to go back and adjust the print so that it will fit on there, but that's basically where this comes in. This was a very economical little light box that I got online. I can't remember now if it was Amazon or eBay or AliExpress, that they're all pretty much the same price, maybe $12. Pretty cheap, and it works really good. You do definitely need to turn down the lights so that you can see the image, but it's small enough and thin enough that I can stick it right underneath there, and stick the image under there, and it shows. So the next clips are going to show that a little better, and so we'll move on to that part. All right, so this is voiceover Jessica. I figured out how to do that with the Cute Cut program that I use to make my videos on my iPhone and or iPad. But yeah, so here this is a sped up video that I'm going to talk over basically, and I've got that little thin light box underneath one half of the page. I cut that image of Neela that I printed out. I cut it in half because one half will go on the bottom and one half on the top, obviously. And at this point, I will basically trace over my image, and sometimes I will go and do this with a pen and kind of get a jump start on the line work instead of trying to perfectly do a pencil drawing when so it just depends. I saw a art YouTuber by the name of Lucid Neela. I just watched a video that she put out, and she traced over her an image on her iPad, and I thought that was pretty interesting. I tried that and I couldn't get it to work. I tried different lightbox programs. I tried using Procreate itself, but it kept bouncing around on me. There probably is some way to lock it so that it doesn't respond to the touch gestures, but it just wasn't bright enough. Even when I turned off all the lights and made it dim, I just could not see the image. So I'm not sure how she did that, but apparently she did it, and it turned out great. Yeah, this is the method that I'm using, and it works really good with a sketchbook. It's really thin and flat, so I can fit it under there, and I can put the paper right up against the edge, and it works really good. Oh, and here's a clip now of the finished pencil work, basically. So I went ahead and added a corset to this portrait of Neela. I wasn't comfortable with... She's supposed to be a child, so I just wasn't comfortable with having her nude. I didn't like that. So yeah, we put some clothes on her. I've had to cut out a lot of footage just so that this would all fit into about a half an hour so I could upload it. I tried to include the most interesting parts, or what I thought. Yeah. But I did come back here and make some revisions and changes to her hair from what I had in the original Procreate sketch that I'd printed, and as well as adding her corset. And now here, this is inking, and I think, yeah, I deleted the first part where I'd done a pass with a Sakura Micron Pigma fine liner, and in pink, or rose, I think is what they call it if you buy it. And so that video, it looked almost the same because it was the same color as the colored pencil I'd drawn it with. But here I'm kind of going over and adding some a little more variation and interest in the line work. This is the method I've had for years, whether it be digital or traditional. I tend to go over everything with a single line width, and then I go in with varying line widths and add weight to the lines just to add volume. And you can just really achieve a lot just with that sort of technique, and I really like that, how it looks, and I find it really enjoyable to do as well. But yeah, I've cut out more than half of this inking because it was just going over the image multiple times. and I don't know how well it could be seen what I was actually doing. So I wanted to make more room for the actual coloring, which I think a lot of people probably find more interesting. In future videos here, I may not show the line work much at all. But I in these initial videos, I did at least want to share it. But yeah, I really like these pink microns. I have purple ones, and I have brown ones, and blue ones. I really like doing colored line work. It's a lot of fun. Using this program on my phone definitely has limitations. The fastest I can increase is 4 times normal playback, which for me, when I'm going so slow, especially with I'm just slow at all of my art stages. I'm slow at inking, I'm slow at coloring. I do a lot of passes and a lot of layers, and yeah, I think if for a lot of parts I wish I could go a little faster than 4 times. So yeah, but I'm having fun making these videos, and so we'll see. The big thing is, I guess I could speed up the video, save it to my phone, and then speed up that sped up video. But I just start to run out of space on my phone to do that with, because my computer is old and can't do any of this. I'm doing it on my phone. I do all this editing on my phone. So I hope that these are going to be entertaining. These are definitely a lot of work. So I would call this these are time-lapse art videos. I see a lot of people will call a video like this, they'll call it a speed paint or a speed draw, and that's not the same thing. A speed paint or a speed draw is where you draw you complete a piece in an hour, and it's normal time. So I just found it funny that people use that terminology. This is not a speed draw or speed paint. It's a time lapse, because I'm very slow, so I need a time lapse to keep you guys entertained, because these pieces take hours and hours, and so that's just too long for a video. But yeah. Well, big bummer. My other favorite marker just went dead. And shoot, I was really looking forward to coloring this tonight. So I guess we'll wait until my marker order comes in next week. Okay, guys, here we go. I don't have my markers yet, because I don't want to wait. We are going to try to tackle this. The problem is that I need the BG4 or an equivalent to do her skin the way I wanted. I've done some practicing on the printout, and with some different markers to try to see some different colors for the skin. So I don't know if this is going to work, and I hope I'm not going to ruin this, but I'm going to give it a try. And what I'm going to do is try to keep things light, so that if I get the markers in that I want later, then I can potentially go over it. So what I'm going to do, this is a technique that I use a lot, especially on the skin, or on the face, is I go over with the colorless blender. I go over the area that I want to work on. It helps to get those colors already kind of blending and getting a nice fade to them. So make sure I've got stuff back here. So we're going to give this a try. We'll see if it works. I don't know if it's going to. I've got my BG4 here, trying to get as much ink in there as possible. I watched some videos on trying to get more out of your marker, and most of them are saying to use purified ethanol. And I have isopropyl alcohol and I have acetone, but I don't have ethanol, except for some vodka. And I'm not that desperate yet, but we'll see. So, okay, well, here goes. I always get so nervous doing the faces because this traditional media is so unforgiving, and but it's good practice. And what I think I want to do is just do a bunch of faces and really work on faces and blending and smoothing and defining on a face. But yeah, you could see there I had laid down, initially I'd laid down just a wash basically of the colorless blender, and then I went in with my blush, and I went in with that B64 marker that was dying on me, and trying to stretch it. But I was really worried. I do think that this turned out, it turned out how I wanted, basically. And I enjoy having the dramatic blush. I know that these aren't, I'm not trying to make this realistic, I'm trying to make an illustration. But so I want it to be appealing. I don't want it to be weird, but I want it to be a pretty bright blush. I like the bright blushing on the joints, and yeah, so and I do kind of kick myself. I realized I wasn't filming when I went in and did her eyes, and eyes really pull it together when you go in there and you fix up the eyes, and then maybe go over some of the line work on the eyelashes and stuff. It really makes it pop and brings it together so it doesn't look so funny. But I think I'll maybe try to do that, try to do a video of just focusing on the face, not bouncing around to other places, and just finish a face start to finish, because I know I enjoy seeing that a lot. And I really had to zoom up on this. The video was originally showing the entire sketchbook and quite a lot of area around it, so I really zoomed up on this area that I was working on, and I did that a lot through this. And I hope at the end that these look nice and that they're not grainy, and that you can see the detail and see what I'm doing. So it's going to be kind of an experiment to see how it ends up. One of the, I'll see, here we go, we did a time jump here and missed the eyes, but I added the eyes, highlights. I went in with a gel, a white jelly pen or jelly marker. What do they call these? Jelly roll. I have a bunch of white jelly rolls, and for I do try to leave white of the paper, or is this kind of off-white for this Moleskine, but the jelly roll or a white gel pen really can be useful, and it really brings things to life. Yeah, I think I didn't get the lips or anything on there. I just skipped right to this part about the hair. So I'm sorry about that. And I got lots and lots of footage of screwing around with the hair, which I don't think was as interesting to watch. Everybody likes the faces better, most of all. At least I do. I like seeing the faces. I went in and inked the feathers on her back. I don't think that those were inked in the last frame. I can't remember. But yeah, that was part of her original design, were those feathers on her back. Yeah, so at this point I started to feel a lot better about the whole thing. The face was turning out, and as you know, if the face looks good, then it's worth doing the rest of it. If the face doesn't look good, then you might as well just give up, as far as I'm concerned. Or it's just really demoralizing. It's hard to have a prolonged ugly stage where things aren't looking nice is really hard to get through. So for me, doing things like finishing up the eyes really gives me a bit of a boost, like, oh, okay, this actually might end up looking nice. So just going to be a lot of hair coloring here, and finishing up the rest of this coloring. And these videos very much are me learning this this new video making technique too, so I hope I can improve these as I go. Yeah, this is an opportunity for me to gab. I think I've got 10 minutes here of footage left. So Neela, this is my character Neela, and Neela was around long before dolls were, and she is the daughter of Herla and Gahern. Gahern was my friend, Miss Mantis. That was her character. We used to do a lot of role playing, and we made some big stories and plots, and made some big art. I guess they would be kind of like storybooks, kind of, but they're all chronological art, kind of like comic art. I don't know what's the word I'm thinking of. It's just not coming to I can't think of it. But yeah, that was tons of fun. I enjoyed all of that so much. And now I've got characters that I just love and feel connected to, even all these years later. So Herla and Neela are probably my most precious and beloved characters, that are just really close to my heart, and have put the most energy into them. And Neela has, when I got into ball jointed dolls, she actually was one of the first to get shelled, as it were, because a sculpt came up that was amazing. It was like this sculptor took the image that I had of Neela in my head and made a doll. And I remember finding the sculpt, or I think Miss Mantis, I think Wendy found it and showed it to me. I can't remember now how it happened, but everybody that saw that doll and knew about Neela knew that had to be Neela. And it was a Mishi's doll, Dreamy. And there was a doll show in Spain, and the artist had some left over from that show, and it was a Dreamy in the gray resin. I still, looking back, I think I would have loved to have one that was more in a bluish or purplish tone, but the gray worked really, really good too. As I think of all the dolls that I have, that there is not one that is the most perfect sculpt for the character. They were designed based on it, is what it feels like. So I have Neela in that. It's a 1/6 scale doll, and then quite a long time, a few years later, I ended up deciding to shell my main characters in 2 scales. So I had Herla and Gahern were in SD scale, and I ended up getting them at different sculpts in MSD scale. So MSD scale Neela ended up being a jury, she 11 or 12? I can't remember. She's one of the smiling ones. And I always thought that sculpt was perfect for Neela. So she's actually on a Fairyland Centaur body. And then I have this 1/6 scale Neela that's on the doll that I showed at the beginning. And unfortunately she doesn't work. I don't know. I think I could make that hybrid work if I wanted to. Maybe I can stick a picture and see if I can figure that out. But anyways, I did I put, let's see. Okay, yeah, there, I did it. Okay, so I put Neela's head, the Mishi's doll Dreamy, on the Lily Cat chibi moon that is on the Real Fee Fairyland Real Fee Centaur body. It just wasn't, I think I could make it work if I was willing to do the mod. Basically would need to trim down the neck on that Lily Cat chibi moon. And that Chibi Moon is a very expensive artist doll, and I don't feel like cutting the neck on it. So let's put it that way. So it is possible. It's a hybrid that's possible, but it's a very expensive hybrid and not one it's not an act I'm willing to commit. Well, let's put it that way. But I think she would be so freaking cute on that. So eventually, if some other type of body comes up, yeah, then there was also, just the none of those resins matched. I've got a purple Chibi Moon and a gray head and a white Centaur body. I have kind of toyed around with getting a gray Alana though, and doing that. Chibi Moon Alana, Chibi Lana, that's what it is, a Chibi Lana. Well, here I am. I colored that jewel on her forehead, which has a long history, and someday I'll talk about that. But here I'm coloring the feathers on her back, and yeah, I went back and forth about what color I wanted to do those, and ultimately decided on this color scheme. So I'd done it like that on some art on her in the past. The taper markings, she always had the baby taper markings on her. A long time ago, they were always a lot more downplayed, and I really made them a lot more obvious and bold, I guess. They're it's very clear that they're there and not just wispy like how I used to do them. Yeah, and there's the little feathers, little stringy feathers coming out there. So this was really fun to get to draw Neela again, and I want to draw her again because I feel like it was a bit of a mess with her hair about what I wanted to do and what colors I wanted, and so I'd like to do it again. I think all the pieces, like if you could just sit down and do them all again, start to finish, they'd be even better. But it's always time. You always got to move on to something different and try something new, and you're learning for each piece, right? It's all a learning. Let's see, how much time do I got left here? I think in the next clip here, I went ahead and jumped to doing a background, and I kind of warred with doing one. I really did like how she looked on the blank background, but I really like how they look with the background. Yeah, and I did fool around with it a little more to what I even showed here, and got it to a point that I kind of liked, and it does really suck down a lot of ink, and I think what I'm going to do now, because I love adding the background and I don't want to use a different medium, I want to use the alcohol ink, but I've bought a few ink Copic ink refills, and it's definitely a lot more economical buying it that way. I'm going to I'll probably still use the markers, but I'm going to maybe restrict some of these really large backgrounds to the colors that I have in refills. Just because I kind of killed another one of my favorite Ohuhu markers. It's the pastel blue. I love that marker, and I kind of murdered it doing this background. Yeah, and I don't have a good feeling for if it's the paper really sucking them down or if this is just, covering this amount. I use a lot of ink. I tend to like to really brute two colors together by just using a lot of ink till they mix, and which that you read that you're not supposed to do that because, yeah, I mean you can, and I do, but you just use that much more ink when you've got two colors that are maybe not close enough together, and so you're kind of wasting it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the alcohol markers, and I cannot wait until the new ones that I've ordered come in. I have the 200 count Ohuhu marker. They're not brush markers. They're the chisel nib and the bullet nib. But I still think they'll be great for lots of purposes, especially for backgrounds. So yeah. Oh, here it just came up that my markers were delivered. Oh, ooh, I gotta go. Hold on just a sec. Oh yeah, here they are. Well, I'm glad I didn't wait for these to arrive to do this background, because it's like after 5 and I wouldn't have been able to finish the piece and do this voiceover too. So but yeah, they're here and I'm so excited to swatch these. I wanted to try to film it, but I don't think I'm just not going to be able to. I won't have enough room on my phone until I offload these videos, which isn't going to happen tonight, unfortunately. Let's take a little sippy here. I can't remember who some artist that I watched would take little sippies, and I thought it was really cute. But yeah, again, I'm new to this, so if you're watching this video, most of my videos are ball jointed doll hobbyist videos. So I collect these. I shell my characters. Some of the vast majority of the dolls I have now don't necessarily have characters. They're just pretty dolls. That's okay too. Yeah, so this is new, and I do want to try to make some more videos like this. I sew. The dolls are definitely a more recent thing. I've been collecting ball jointed dolls since 2014, but I have been an artist for many years. I'm 42 now, so and I've been on the internet doing art, basically, illustration hobby since 2003-ish. All right, so there it is. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.